This woman that knew me from network marketing approached me and she was, casually talking to me. And of course, polygyny was going to come up, and I'm standing there waiting for it to come up because I could just see through the BS right away. And I'm like, she's going to bring it up. She brings it up. And then she goes and makes a really, really silly, immature mistake with me and says, well, her being his baby mother. I said, stop. I said, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there because what you're not going to do is disrespect my husband in my face. Oh, no. I thought she was, yeah, you thought you could get away with saying these things to me because you thought that's what I wanted to hear. You thought that would make me feel empowered. You thought that would sound like something you'd say on Team Fatimah. That's what you thought.
Warning, what you're about to hear may challenge your beliefs, confront your excuses, and expose where your frame may be weak. Good, because comfort doesn't build leaders. Truth doesn't follow trends, and legacy was never meant for the crowd. Our content is made for men and women who value truth over trends, structure and substance over style, and legacy over likes. If that speaks to you, welcome to Outstanding Personal Relationships. I'm Coach Nadir. Let's get it.
Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's Fatimah, Coach Fatimah, 1/3 of Outstanding Personal Relationships and co-author of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. Now, let's get into the topic for today and in this video, because this is something that just keeps coming up constantly. Polygamy. My husband's hoe wrecked our home. Now, let's get together and connect with terms. So, time and time again, I hear words like hoe, side piece, 304, side wife, baby mama. Why are these things being said about our co-wives? One thing I know, and I understand full well, and I invite those of you that do not understand it to do so. You can be hurt, you can be devastated, you can be sad, you can be depressed, you can feel betrayed, you can feel like he blindsided you, you can feel as though he doesn't even love you anymore. But one thing that is harming women in polygyny, if our husbands are the ones practicing polygyny, which is the practice of having more than one wife, is the terms we're using to describe his other wife, our co-wife. Even if you can't bring yourself to terms with saying the word co-wife, there's many women that can't do that. And they might have good reason why they don't want to. I understand that. But what should also be understood is that when we use these terms to describe our husband's other wife, and that is her role in his life, just like it's ours, it hurts us. It hurts our marriage. It hurts him. It hurts us because when we use these terms, it makes us feel cheated on, because that's what these terms were designed to do, is to diminish. Now, do some people fit those attributes? Yeah. Does it feel good? Probably not. Probably not. Because there's so much honor put on the word wife that sometimes if some of us, because I've never used baby mama, if some of us use this word, it might make us feel better. Because then that makes the other wife less than in our eyes, in some of the eyes of the initial wife. It does not change the fact that she is his wife to him, even if nobody else acknowledges that. Even if she says, I'm his wife. She might have heard homewrecker. She might have heard whore. She might have heard any of those words. Baby mama, side piece. She might have heard any of those words on repeat. But if she's fully embraced the term wife, and that's her role, then we're not going to make her feel any kind of way. if she's accepted the fact that she's a wife too. Here's how it can damage your marriage if you're using these words, these negative words. No man who is living his life in an honorable way wants to hear his family, his wife or wives, describe any of his wives, any of his other wives, as something derogatory. Especially if that's not who she is. So she's not his baby mama. He doesn't look at her like that. He looks at her as his wife. His side chick, side piece, jump down, side wife. That stupid term has been thrown around countless times. Then he has a right to be upset. Tearing down someone else, specifically wives in polygyny, is not going to make you feel better other than it. What it's going to do is expose who you are. If it makes you feel better to say these words, then there's something fundamentally wrong with that. I'll give you an example. I was out. Oh my goodness, I was at a mall. I like to shop. I like to go to the mall. This woman that knew me from network marketing approached me, and she was, casually talking to me. And of course, polygyny was going to come up, and I'm standing there waiting for it to come up because I could just see through the BS right away. And I'm like, she's going to bring it up. Her face was just set up that way. Anyway, she brings it up, and then she goes and makes a really, really silly, immature mistake with me and says, well, her being his baby mother. I said, stop. I said, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there because what you're not going to do is disrespect my husband in my face. Oh, no. I thought she was, yeah, you thought you could get away with saying these things to me because you thought that's what I wanted to hear. You thought that would make me feel empowered. You thought that would sound like something you'd say on Team Fatimah. That's what you thought. Most women are trying to survive polygynous marriage, but what if you thrive instead? That's why I created the Frame Playbook for Women. Frame is a practical approach to help women get through their emotions and straight to fulfillment. Because your life does not have to end when your marriage changes, so that you can become stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled. So make sure you visit polygamybooks.com to get your copy today. I'm Coach Fatimah. Peace. But that word assumption has that other word ass in it. And that's what she did. She made an ass out of herself. And I told her, in my culture, which is Islam, we don't use these terms to describe our co-wives. In my darkest moment, I've not said that. In my most hurt moment, I've not said that. My neighbor tried that once. I had been living next to her for 14 years. She tried to use that terminology with me. I said, no, ma'am. I said, that's his other wife, because that's what it is in Islam. Now, I know everybody is not Muslim. I know that. But we start feeling cheated on when we use terms that are not befitting of the role. That doesn't mean we're erasing our pain and our hurt and our feelings of betrayal or broken trust or miscommunication, mismanagement, mistakes. Whatever the case may be, what these women weren't going to do, because they felt like, this wasn't violent because I'm not hitting you. I'm not swinging on you. You can speak violence from your mouth, and I've said it more than once on this channel. I've said it more than once in our content. I'm not playing. When I say you can be violent with your mouth. For example, we got people saying, you know what, your mama, I hope she died and you should get in the grave with her. And then you get punched all up in your face. And you get all that work and all that rage and all that care and all that love that somebody else has for their mother, whether they're living or dead. Don't look startled because you spoke violence from your mouth. You're so disrespectful. And women can try it with other women because we might be violent, we might not be. But men doing that with other men, somebody might have to go. They might make a decision to take somebody up out of this life if they feel disrespected to the point of pushing them to the brink verbally. It has happened. But women, we tend to do that nice, nasty thing. And one of the nice, nasty things that we do, some of us do, is that side wife, side chick, homewrecker, hoe wrecker, all of that. Baby mama. But what if the tables were turned? Will we be so easily ready to embrace those terms if they were used against us, especially initial wives? We shouldn't be relishing in someone else's pain. We should not be waddling in somebody else's pain, wallowing. We shouldn't. And then expect for our husbands to be happy with that, especially if he's trying his best to live a life and have a vision that is one of righteous behavior, noble behavior. And we're saying, yeah, but then these are side kids, outside kids, side wife, side chick. His whore. That's all she is. And we expect success. Oh, that's a huge ask when you're the one that's being the ass. It's huge. I mean, the arrogance and the gall, the audacity to sit there and say these words and expect to have this beautiful marriage where there's respect. Or you can be the only disrespectful person, but nobody else better disrespect you. You can say whatever you want to say, but nobody else better say anything to you or about you. You're the first wife. So much privilege in that. First don't mean best. First does not mean best. First just means first. You were married first. But that doesn't mean you're best. So let's pay attention to what we say so we don't feel cheated on because we're not using words that fuel that flame and that fire. Be mindful of that, okay? That's all I'm saying. Because I knew year one, when those words were said to me and somebody thought they could play in my face with it, they found out that they had to sit in the embarrassment, not me. Because they had to get gathered. Because you're not going to come over to here and disrespect my culture and my marriage and think I'm going to stand there and not say something to you. I didn't have to cuss. I didn't have to fuss. I didn't do any of that. I had to educate and teach people how to treat me even in my pain. And that's what happened. They never said it again. And I saw my neighbor every day. She never said it again. So with that being said, make sure that you're commenting, liking, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so that you're notified every time we go live or upload content as well. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you with some GOC. But before I do, make sure that you visit me at CoachFatimah.com for details on how I can help you go to the next level and step into your fulfillment. So here's GOC. Make sure you're growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. I'll see you guys in the next one. So, peace.